So since we already done manipulating yung form natin for the registration at saka for the login form, therefore, the next thing na gagawin naman natin is to manage yung database since we have a form to work on naman. So, first thing to do is to set up yung database natin. So, all we need to do is to open up a tab and type localhost/phpMyAdmin. And then, we're going to create a new table, or I mean, a new database. Let's say I'm going to name it as, same pa rin yung project name ko, Profile Management System. And save. And then, yung first table na gagawin ko is I'm going to create a user. So, ilang field ba yung kailangan ko? Sabihin natin 10, dagdag ako ng 10. Kung magkulang, ay magdadagdag na lang ako. Kailangan ko ng user ID. Kailangan ko yung last name. Ganito lang. Yung F name, yung M name, yung L name, tsaka yung X name, which is yung kaninang field na nilagay natin. And then, I also need yung username nila. And then, kailangan ko rin ng password. Role. And then, yung status. Kung active pa o hindi na. Then, created at kung kailan siya nagawa. Kulang pa. Dagdag pa ako ng isa. 1 column. Yung updated at. Kung kailan naman siya na-update. Okay, ano yung mga type? This will be integer with having 10 lang. Fname varchar, sabihin natin 100. Mname varchar 100. Lname varchar din 100. Xname is varchar din. Kahit hindi siya 100, 25 na lang. Extension lang naman yan. Username can be 100. Password, igawin ko na lang 255. That's the maximum character pagdating sa varchar. Then role, 25 lang. Baka ako lang. 100 ko na lang. Just in case para safe. Status, this is 25. Created at, we're going to use timestamp for this one. Para every time may magmamanipulate or may mag-insert na record, automatic yung date and time ma-record din based on the server time. Then, the next thing is we need to set up yung default value niya. This is current timestamp. For status, define tayo ng active as the default value. And then, dito naman, on update. Once mag-update yung isang record, ma-update din yung record na to kung kailan siya na-update. Okay, it's also important. So, we need to set up yung user ID natin as our primary key. And we need to make sure that it is auto-incremented. Okay? And save. Okay, so that's the first table na meron tayo. So the other table, since we're going to have our profile management system naman, there are only 3 tables na gagawin natin, but it's up to you guys if magdadagdag pa kayo ng ibang table. So dagdag pa ako ng isa. Dito yung table na nagawa ko, new. And dadagdag ako ng personal information. Personal information. Okay, then yung ID ko, sabihin natin pinfo ID. That is my primary key. Then yung related record niya is yung user ID. Kukulangin na. So I need DOB. I need POB or place of birth. So, dagdag ako, sabihin natin 10. After POB, sabihin natin gender. Then we have civil status or sabihin natin CS status. Then we have yung email. Contact number. Photo kung kakailanganin. Status niya. Yung active bang account na hindi. Created. At saka yung updated at. Okay. So, ano yung mga type? Data type niya. This is integer, integer. Sabihin na lang muna natin itong varchar. Then, yung gender niya, merong 10 na 10 dito. Ito, kahit 100 na lang. Just sample purposes. Gender, hindi naman yan marami. Civil status, di rin man marami. Email, 100 ko na lang. Then, contact number, 100 na rin. Varchar din yung data type niya. Photo, i-text lang natin kasi baka mahaba yung file name. At least, hindi tayo limited sa file name o sa text niya ka-character. Then, sa varchar, I need 25 for the status, yung number of length. Then, created at, same with others, it should be timestamp. Saan na yun? Timestamp, yan. As well as with the created at. Now, dito, current, then define as active. Then, ba't nanal to? Current timestamp. Then, on update, set this as the primary key and auto-incremented. Okay? Save. So, that's the second table na meron tayo. Okay, so last table na gagawin natin is yung programming skills. So, P skill ID, then user ID, then program languages, and then yung backend framework, tapos yung front end framework. Okay, dagdag pa ako ng 3. So, status, created at saka yung updated at. Okay? Then, dito, basically, it should be timestamp, varchar, no, gawin nating text. Baka marami. So, 10, yung text, hindi mo kailangan mag-define ng length ng characters. So, 25. So, default is current timestamp. Dito naman is active. Then, on update dito. Okay. Set the primary key and auto increment. Okay. Okay, so we are done with our tables sa part ng ating database. Now, the next thing na gagawin naman natin is to set up the database configuration in the part of our code. So, punta lang tayo sa config, then go to database. So, the database, of course, yung localhost. Yung username natin by default kasi is root. Then password is empty. Database, ano yung database natin? Then let's try to copy this one. Yan. So that is our database configuration. So that's how we set up our database in the part of CodeIgniter. Now, the next thing is to auto-load yung database natin. Kasi always naman natin siyang gagamitin. So, hanapin natin yung library. Ito. So, libraries, tapos database. Yan. Then, other than that, we're also going to manipulate yung form helper. So, dagdag tayo ng form dito. So, if you're wondering kung saan siya may hanap, just read the documentation of the CodeIgniter. Okay. Now, next thing na gawin natin is to manipulate the code sa part ng ating mga forms. So, dito kasi, we need to set up some method in action here. But instead of doing it in this kind of form, we're going to utilize yung form helper. So, I'm not that, sabi ko nga, hindi ko ganun ka-memorize yung mga code. So, search ko lang, form. So, form helper. So, ganito yon yung form helper. So, yung gagamitin natin is to generate this one. But we're going to use yung isa. Yung ito. Ito. Merong sample. Walang sample code. Doon na lang. Let me try to copy this one. And paste natin dito. PHP natin. Hindi siya nagbago. HTML. PHP. Hindi siya nagbago ng kulay. Yan. So, form open, but instead of open, we're going to use the multi-part para just in case we're going to upload in photo, it needs kasi na we're going to manipulate yung multi-part. So, ano yung ilalagay dito? We can just leave this empty or specify yung controller at saka method name. Yan. Then, dito naman sa iba, we don't need any class yet or other ID sa setup. So, if we're going to check this out, ano yung magiging result nito? Refresh muna natin to. And view page source. Makita natin sa form, ito. See? Meron action. Based on the link, it generated a link. Yung inilagay lang natin is yung account at saka registration. And we already have the multi-part / form data for the ink type attribute. This is used in the part if we want to upload photo. So just in case we do that, then prepare na yung code natin. So same thing with the login. May form din dito. But instead of registration, of course, we need to change that to login. Okay, let's check this one. So yun. Okay? So okay na yung mga form natin, na-set up na yung form helper natin. Okay, so the next thing na gagawin naman natin is to manipulate or manage the form submission once the form is submitted. Kasi if we try to submit the form, ito yung mangyayari. Diba? Mapapansin nyo, it reloads. Therefore, the form is submitting. So we're going to make another method that is related to registration. Sabihin natin public function. But I'm going to do this. Naglagay ako ng underscore para hindi siya ma-access outside within the class lang. Then I'm going to call this here Although pwede ko namang ilagay dito sa taas yung code, but just to make it clean, ganito yung ginagawa ko. Okay? So, ano yung gagawin natin? Let's try to echo if nababasa to ba to. Echo hello. Refresh. Yan, nandito ang hello. So, basically, nababasa naman yung code natin dito. So, ano yung gagawin natin? We are just going to manipulate the form that was submitted. Okay, if na-submit yung form. Paano ba yung na-submit yung form? So, ano ba yung button? Button name niya is this one. So, we're going to use yung this input post. This is something like yung sa $sign underscore post global array sa PHP. So, same approach, but there are tweaks pagdating sa method na to. Okay, so yung lalagay natin dito yung pangalan, which is yung submit. So, echo lang muna tayo ng submitted if totally nababasa ba. Okay, refer. No. Yan. If I submit this one, yan. So, mababasa lang yung code if the form was really submitted. Okay? Okay. Now, ano ba yung ilalagay ko dito? Once the form is submitted, I want to save the data to the database. Okay? So, meron na ba tayong part ng pag-save sa database? Basically, wala pa. So, yun ang gagawin natin next. So, we're going to have a file. Copy some of the code here, something like this. For security reason, purpose, class, ano yung sabi natin users, and then, no. It will be user model. Yun ang nakasanayan ko lang naming convention. But there are rules. Pagdating sa naming convention, you can read their documentation naman. And then, after that, we need to extend to my model. Tama ba? CI. Mali. CI pala. CI model. Nalilimutan ko na. Let's try to check documentation para sure tayo. Model. Tama. CI model. Yan. Okay. Then we're going to make a function. Public function. Sabihin natin okay, so sabihin natin save post record. So why save post record? Kasi itong post, pwede namang save record, but itong post is just my indication na I'm trying to save a data coming from the post. Okay? So ano yung paano natin mariretrieve yung mga data? We can manipulate this input post. Then yung pangalan ng input, which is natin yung fname. The name was coming here, right? So copy, and paste it here. Just a reference, para may reference lang ako. Then I'm going to so you can directly actually put this in an array. So it's up to you yung style nyo. Kulang pa. Okay. So I want to make sure that this input will return or will be a string. Kasi if the input was not found, then yung mare-return niya is null. once we try to save a null value into the database, it might cause some error. May mga ganong situation. So to make sure that it will not cause an error na even null yung ma-return ng value ng method na to, then i-convert natin yan into string. Okay? Para hindi siya mag-cause ng error pagdating sa database. Okay? So once it is okay, we're going to save. So yeah, paano ba yung pag-save sa database? So let's try to look on the documentation. Insert, database na lang. Tapos hanapin natin yung query builder. Tapos yung insert data. Ito. This is how we're trying to insert. Copy natin code na yan. Yan. So this DB, since auto-loaded naman yung database natin, so we can call this method. Then dito, yung table name. So on our end, it is the user's table. Then yung data, ito yung data na ilalagay natin sa database. So dito, basically, ito yung mga field name. Ito naman, yung mga value, which is this part. So ano yung mga field name natin sa users? So copy lang natin para hindi tayo marap. Fname, yung mname, and then yung lname, and then meron tayong xname, meron din tayong username, at saka meron din tayong password. So, meron ditong role. Ano bang role? Purpose ng role. This role represent kung what type of user na isi-save natin. So, there are three role na meron tayo. We have the visitor, which is yun yung magsa-sign up. Then, we have the admin, and we also have the manager. Those are the different role na meron yung system natin. But of course guys, it's up to you kung ano yung mga role na gagawin nyo. So next na gagawin natin, kailangan na natin ilagay yung mga data dito. Xname, username, at saka yung password. Tapos dito, lagay natin visitor so that we can differentiate between the admin na mga user and yung mga visitor or kaya manager. Now, actually yung role, gagamit natin to kahit saan. So, yung gagawin ko, I'm going to create a constant para fix yung file name niya. So, gagawa ko ng panibagong constant. Sabihin kong user role visitor. Kasi later on, gagamitin ko rin to in the part of checking something. Basta soon, makita nyo yun. Then visitor, we also have the admin. So yung value niya is admin. Then meron din tayo dito. So the good thing about constant is that once mag-run yung system, hindi na siya magbabago ng value. Okay? Yun ang nakaganda sa constant. Since itong visitor, manager, and admin na role, these are fixed value for the entire system. So since fixed naman siya, kaya gumamit na ako ng constant. Okay, so I need to save this same as with the class name. Then malalagay siya sa model. Dapat dyan siya nakalagay. Okay, nandito na siya. So ngayon, paano natin yan gagamitin? Okay, so all we need to do is to load this load model. Ano yung model natin? It is the user model, small letter all. And then, this user model, then tatawagin natin yung save post record. Okay? So once that is process, i-manipulate niya yung post, i-retrieve niya yung data, ilalagay natin sa isang array, then i-insert na natin. Ngayon, itong insert method, it has what we call return value. Ano ba yung return value ng insert? Saan na ba yun? Hindi ko nahanap. Search ko na lang insert. Yan. So kung babasahin natin dito sa documentation, yung insert is returns true on success, false on failure. Okay? So therefore, we can catch the response or the return value. So we can test. If yung response niya is true, then I want to return something. Basically, I want to return the ID of the last inserted record. Else, I'm going to return false. So, dyan natin magamit yan. So, once the form was submitted, yung gusto kong i-return instead of true is yung last inserted ID because there are cases na pwede nating magamit yung last inserted ID in inserting other record para magkaroon sila ng relation. So, paano natin makukuha yung last inserted ID? Sa CodeIgniter, there is what we call na insert ID na method. So, ito yon. So, all we need to do is to copy this code and yan yung i-return natin. So, it will return the last inserted ID. So, if mag-insert tayo ng record and meron siyang primary key na 1, then i-return dito yung 1. If primary key niya ay 2, then it will return 2. Okay? Okay, so now let's try it here. So, since there's a return value, sabihin rin natin na this is response sa part ng our controller. So, if response is true, then we can do something else. Kung ano ba yung gusto natin gawin. Okay, so later on, especially sa part ng notification. But for now, I'm just going to use yung redirect. So ano to yung redirect? This is one of the, I think this is URL helper. Check ko lang. Hindi, kakalimutan ko na. Redirect. URL helper. So it will redirect to page. So this is important if you are submitting a form that it should redirect para ma-refresh na yung page. So saan siya magre-redirect? It should redirect to the account registration. So kung tama yung pagkaka-process natin, let's try that one. If tama yung process natin, let's try to have the name of Raymond. Sabihin natin junior, username is, sabihin natin admin, one lang muna. Then password. And save. Yun. Na-save ba? So, we are not yet sure kung na-save ba talaga. So, let's try to check that database kung na-save ba talaga yung user natin. Yun, it was successfully saved. Dito na yung data natin. But kung manonotice nyo guys, yung data natin is merong role na visitor, which is correct. Ano pa ba yung kakaiba dito? Yung password. Dapat yung password should be encrypted. So, balik tayo sa model. So, yung password natin dito, hindi pa siya naka-encrypt. Okay, so I'm just going to use a simple function of PHP which is called MD5. This is not actually best encryption process that we can use or function. There are a lot of encryption method that you can utilize, guys. So it's up to you lang kung alin yung gagamitin nyo. Even CodeIgniter has its encryption function. Okay, so for simplicity purpose, we're going to utilize this one. Okay, so let's try it again. So same name na lang yung ilalagay ko muna. And then yung Monto password and save. Okay, then let's try to check it out. Yun. So as you will notice here in the part of the password, it is already encrypted. Although yung number na nilagay ko yung password is same pa rin, yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But as you will notice, it is already encrypted. But there are other encryption method naman that you can use, just like I said. Okay? Ngayon, we are not informed if it was successfully submitted or not. Okay? So, we need to provide a sort of notification kung nasubmit ba talaga yung form natin. So, ano yung gagawin natin? We need to utilize yung flash session. Check natin, flash session. Flash data. Okay, nasaan na siya? Ito. So, ano yung instruction in using the flash? Yung session. The session class permits you to maintain user state and track their activity while they browse your site. Paano yun eh? Oh, initialize niya is using the library. So, yung gagawin na natin is we're going to auto-load yung session in the part of the library. So, nandito, meron dito. Copy, paste. Yan. Then, the next thing is, ano pa ba yung kulang? How it works. So, we can utilize yung session super global variable naman, or you can use this one on setting up the data. So, yung utilize ko, I think, yung session global variable. Mas sanay kasi ako dun. And, regarding the flash data, sana yung flash data? Flash data, ito yung gagamitin natin. Kasi what's the good thing about the flash data, man? CodeIgniter support flash data or session data that will only be available for the next request and then automatically cleared. So this can be very useful, especially for one-time informational error or status messages. Okay? So yun ang gagamitin natin. So how we do it, ganito lang. Set the flash data and on how to get it, ganito naman yung pag-get sa kanya. Okay? So, balik tayo sa controller natin. So, doon na natin magamit yung flash natin dito. If ano ba yung return ng data natin? If yung response niya is successful or sabihin natin hindi siya false, therefore, we're going to set the session. So, sabihin natin to, ano ba yung pangalan? Submit success. Then, the process, so the registration process, or you successfully saved. The data has been, no, was na lang, was successfully saved. Yan. So, what if hindi siya ma-save ng successful, then sabihin natin submit error. So the data an error occur. The data was not saved. Yan. Sabihin natin ganun. Okay? So, itong mga data, gagamitin natin yan sa part ng our registration. Sabihin natin sa taas, lalagay natin dito. So, check natin paano yung pag-retrieve ng flash data. Ito yun. So, ano yung key ng flash data natin? It is submit success. At saka yung submit error. Okay? So, check natin to. If success, then error, echo natin yung else if. Then echo din natin to. So let's try. So lagay lang muna ako ng pangalan. Then save. Yan, the data was successfully saved. Okay, so now, since we can able to manipulate naman, but as you can see kanina, hindi siya mainam yung design. So let's try to go to Bootstrap and go to alert. So ganito, let's try to copy this code. If successful, green. If error, red. So gusto ko yung may X. Ganito. Para pwede siyang ma-close. Yan. Okay? So let's go to the registration and we're going to echo here. So yung alert warning, dito yung kulay, but gusto ko yung kulay is success if successful siya. Tapos yung message is cut ko lang. May asong maingay. Okay. So let me copy this code for the part here. And copy this one. So dito naman, it will be danger para pula. Okay. So let's try again. What will be the outcome of this one? Save. Yan. The data was successfully saved. Comparing yung kanina, at least mas mainam to, di ba? So it's up to you na lang guys kung paano siya i-design. Okay?